Right, it's day 2 of the voter registration weekend, and for the latest from KwaZulu-Natal, we will now cross to our reporter Ayanda Mhlongo, who's on standby to talk to us. Ayanda, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the agenda this hour. Take us through what's happening there.
Yeah, very good morning to Mkolis and good morning to our viewers at home. Yes, the voting stations here in the area of KwaNongoma. We're in the Zululand district and the northern parts of KwaZulu-Natal. It appears, Mkolisi, that all voting stations in this particular district have been open. But of course, Mkolisi, remember, and let's just recap a little bit in terms of the province. Yesterday was that the province in its entirety had a bit of a shaky start with disruptions at 8 municipalities. And these disruptions were caused by a service delivery protest whereby IEC officials were unable to reach voting stations. Either community members that were disgruntled community members had blockaded the roads. In some instances, the IEC telling us that they dug trenches to prevent IEC staff from being able to access those voting stations. But at around 10 o'clock yesterday, with the assistance of the police, all voting stations in the province had opened. The IEC yesterday saying that, of course, they did have today to be able to continue, and they're hoping that we were going to have a better start to today. Around just before midday today, we are expecting another update from the IEC here in KwaZulu-Natal, just to give us an update in terms of what has happened in day 2. Has it been a little bit smoother than it was yesterday? But to come back, Mkolisi, to where we are here in KwaNongoma, as I was saying, that from our observations, I mean, we've driven past a number of voting stations. They were indeed open, but just observing very, very few to little people, Mkolisi, that were going to these voting stations. And through some of the presiding officers that we did manage to speak to this morning, telling us that it has been very, very slow. In some instances, only 1 or 2 people coming through. In others, they have not yet received any people who've come through to either register, being the first-time voters, or those that are coming to either update their details or just to check whether or not they are registered in those voting stations. So it has been a pretty slow morning. Yesterday as well, in most of the stations, not many people, but in particular, as you know, Mkolisi, that the focus has really been on young people. The IEC, through its campaigns, have been encouraging first-time voters, the young people, to go out and ensure that they are registered, and those that are registered, just to double check that their details are at their respective voting stations. We've also been finding that in the areas that we've been visiting, and in particular now this one, there's been quite a slow number, or in fact not enough young people that have been coming through to the voting stations. At this voting station here at Mahlombe Primary School, is one of the biggest voting stations in this area, with about 1,700 registered voters. We understand only 26 new registrations were done yesterday, and this morning there's only been 4. So voting stations opened at 8. We're already 2 hours into the day, and only 4 new registrations have come through. We have seen some elderly people who have come to check that they are indeed registered, and it does really seem to be somewhat of a trend in most of the voting stations that we visited from yesterday to today. And then just speaking to people, mixed views, Mkolisa, on why, and particularly young people. Others saying that they are not happy with the state of their municipalities, not happy with the state of governance. I mean, we were in one area yesterday, Babanangu, where there's been no service delivery. Young people there saying there's no jobs, there's no hospitals, there's no clinics, there's just no opportunities for young people. And most of them pointing to the fact, why should they vote? Because there's nothing for them in that particular area. But of course, to balance that, there were those who are still saying, yes, despite our circumstances, despite the fact that service delivery has been slow, but they're saying that they hope that through their vote they are going to be able to change their situation, that with their vote it might bring about a change. But let me now, just speaking about young people, the local councillor here, Councillor Zungu, in this particular ward, has been herself moving around the area, trying to get young people to come through and register to vote. Now, just before I speak to her, importantly, Mqolisi, about registration and people that have been come through, what has also been quite an issue in this particular ward is that Councillor Zungu has, in fact, she's speaking to us now, but she's not even living in her home. Councillor Zungu has survived at least 3 attempted assassinations on her life, which has forced her to flee her home. But she has, of course, duty calls, as they say. So she has, of course, had to come out of hiding to go around trying to encourage young people. So before we actually get into what, in terms of people coming out and what the mood and the feeling is amongst young people, let's just speak to her and get an update on her situation and how things have been since the last time we came here to speak to her. Councillor Zungu, sibonga kakhulu isikhathi sakho ma. Siqale mhlambe la sike safika kwena ngaphambilini sizokhuluma kube nenkinga la nawe usuze washiya ekhaya, awukho ekhaya nje kwimanje ngenxa yokusabela impilo yakho. Ngaphambi ukuthi ke ake sibheke usuku la namhlanje lokuregister kokuvota, mhlambe ke sithola ukuthi isimo sesinjani manje.
Angibonge msakazi, ngiyabingelela ngenhlonipho, ngibingelela induna ngoba ngisendaweni yeinduna. Igama lami mina nguNonhlanhla ngingokwaZungu, ukhansela kuleli wadi, uPR kumasipala kwaNongoma ophethe undabandaba, umeya wami. Ngiyabingelela nakuyena ekseni.
Cha, bengibuza nje isimo ma ukuthi njengoba kuye kwaba nesigameko la waphoqele ukuthi uzushiye ekhaya namanje awukwazi ukuhlala kahle emzini wakho ngenxa ukuthi kube khona imizamo yokuthi abantu bakulimaze.
Oselapho msakazi khona kusashaya umoyana kumina, kodwa kwabanye ozakwethu umoya ubungakashayi ngoba kusukela kulesi simo nake nafika ngikusona kwabe sekulimalo omunye ukhansela ozakwethu uManqele. Kuthe kulandela nge-30 ikaSeptember kwaphinda futhi kuzofuna ukunyuza kwethu uNdlunkulu kwaze kwafika kwalinyazwa umyeni wakhe ngoba bengamfici yena. Okusho ukuthi nje isimo sikakabi khona right noma beboshwa abanye, kodwa sona isimo sikabe bikho right. Engikujabulelayo nje kuphela sengijabulela ukuthi uIEC usekwazile ukuthi thina si replace. Ilokho nje sengikujabulela enhlizweni yami ukuthi hayi noma sesingahamba kodwa sebokwazi iqembu salary replace.
Sikhuluma ke nje ke manje njengoba nawe uphumile yize ke unakho ukusabela kwempilo yakho, kodwa usuthe nawe phuma uzama ukunxenxa amalungu omphakathi ukuthi awaphume azoregister ukuvota. Kakhulukazi ke besikhuluma sikubona umemeza abantu abasha ukuthi abaphume, mhlawumbe ngokwesimo nje ukhulumile futhi nezikhulu zaka IEC khona la esikhungweni, bathini abantu banjani bangakanani abantu abaphumile kakhulukazi intsha?
Msakazi cha lapha entsheni bathe nje inalokho kuvilapha iseza kancane, kodwa angethembeka ukuthi namhlanje bazophuma ngobuningi babo ngoba usuku lokugcina lolu lwanamhlanje ukuthi bezobhalisa ikakhulukazi laba bama 2000 abanye basesikoleni njengoba sazi ukuthi grade 12 iyabhala usemakhempini. Okunye mhlambe ngaba yilokho kwenza ukuthi bengakwazi ukuphuma bezobhalisa. Kodwa ngizamile ukuthi nangivuke ekseni namhlanje ngikwazi ukubiza laba basemaduzane ukuthi hambani nobhalisela ukuvota ngoba kubalekile ukuthi namsakazi abantu umuntu azovota. Is either uzovota noma uneqembu lakho noma ubunalo, kodwa unelungelo lokuthi uvote.
Mhlawumbe kulaba abanobunqekanqeka abangafuni yini abakhala ngayo nesidalela ukuthi bathi babe nqekanqeka ukuthi bafike bazobhalisa nokuthi bangafuni ukuvota?
Abanye msakazi njengalama 2000 laba abantu iyouth ake ngisho iyouth ikhala kakhulu ngokuthi sivotelani ngoba imisebenzi asiyitholi. Yini le engasenza ukuthi sivote? Kanti ke ukuvota kubalekile ukuthi umsebenzi awutholi, kodwa ubalulekile ukuthi uvote kwenza thina kufika isabelo mali waziwe ukwazi ukuthi kuleli ward njengo 14 ukuthi unabantu abangakanani, ngoba uma wena ungezanga ukuzobalelwa kubantu abavotayo sho ukuthi sizonikwa imali encane, ngeke sikwazi ukuthola imali eyanele ukuthi senze idingo zomphakathi ngenxa ukuthi lo mphakathi yobuna leyo mali eyenele laba abantu abavotileyo.
Mamzong, angibonga kakhulu isikhathi sakho angikudedele ma. All right, that was Councillor Zungu there, of course, Mxolisi, firstly telling us about the current situation, as I was saying there, that she has survived at least 3 failed assassination attempts on her life, forcing her to flee her home. Of course, now being an important weekend, she had to come out to encourage her community members to go out and vote. And she's saying that it is still quite tense, although there has been progress in terms of the investigations into her case and that of her colleagues, that there has been arrests in that matter. But you can just tell that she still is not comfortable to be, serving in her own community. I mean, she's traveling with security. So it is still quite a difficult situation for her. But nevertheless, she is out and about trying to encourage her community members with a particular focus on young people. And she is saying that she is getting some resistance from young people who are not keen on coming out to register, but trying to speak to them about the importance of them going out to register to vote, so that come next year, once the election date is pronounced by the president, young people will then be able to come and make their voices heard and vote for whatever political party they feel might be able to bring about a change in their community. And she's saying that one of the reasons that young people are giving her for not wanting to come out and vote is the fact that they are not seeing any development. There are no job opportunities for young people, and many of them having given up and lost hope. But nevertheless, she is still trying to encourage them to come through. And I guess what she's saying, Goldis, is similar sentiments that we've been picking up from community leaders from yesterday as well, that it's been quite difficult to encourage young people to come out and register to vote. Mkolisi will be on the ground here in KwaNongoma. We'll be moving around at different voting stations, trying to get people, speak to people. Are they coming out? What are the reasons for them not to come out and vote? I must also mention, importantly, Mkolisi, is the issue, as Mam Zungu was speaking about security, that in this particular district we have seen heightened security in terms of police. And yesterday police were out in their numbers outside the voting stations. We also saw roadblocks as well as we entered the district. So there is indeed been a heavy police presence, and I guess that's also encouraging, because some people might have been afraid to go out because of the political tensions in this particular area. But from our observations, there has indeed been a large deployment of police officers across this district. For now, Mkolisi, let me hand things back to you, but we'll be chatting hopefully soon, a little bit later.